Hi, I'm Warren, the author of Christopher Tyson, Mark of the Ancestor, and I'm joined here today by General Omzig Devlanagor himself. Greetings, humans. I do apologise for any confusion, as I do sound suspiciously like the author. Yeah, you do. Oh well, total coincidence, I'm sure. Let's move on. Very well, let's dive in. Tell us about your first memory as a writer of science fiction adventure stories. My first memory of writing was a short science fiction story called Richard and the Alien Prince. At the time, my best friend was called Richard, so I'm sure there was no influence there. If my maths is correct, I think I wrote it around 1985, and I would have been around 9 years old. Due to my father's job as a Church of England priest, we had moved around quite a bit, and at that point in time we had not long moved back to the UK. We'd probably been in the country less than a year, I think. As part of my father's job, he had to write quite a lot as well, everything from sermons to the church magazine. All that writing no doubt had an influence on me, but at that point in time, probably the biggest factor was that he got hold of an old typewriter. I can easily imagine how this typewriter device started the ball rolling. So tell us, how did you get hold of it? When we moved to that new parish, somebody loaned my father an old blue typewriter. But being ever the gadget fan, something which I think I've inherited, he soon got hold of a fancy new electric typewriter. And this was the days just before word processing computers and the like, but it was still, a pretty modern piece of technology for the time, with lots of glowing LEDs and electric buttons that you barely need to press before the thing hammered out a letter at top speed. But the old blue typewriter, as a result, was freed up, meaning that I had the chance to play around on that, and as such I was able to write my first story. Now that we know how you began writing, tell us more of the story itself. So now I had this little blue typewriter, I was able to start hammering out my first story, and it starts with this guy called Richard, spelt with an E for some inexplicable reason, and he's living in the countryside, living a quiet, solitary life, and witnesses the crashing arrival of something in the local woods. Of course, as any hero does, he goes off to investigate, only to discover it contains an alien. And then, in rather pathetic fashion, he faints from shock, which even now bugs me because the alien prince in the spaceship looks human. So, yeah, rather silly plot point there. Anyway, despite having different languages, our heroes make quick friends, but discover that all is not well. The enemies of the alien prince are hunting him in order to stop his ascension to the throne. After that, there's a car chase, and our heroes rather easily steal a jet from the local RAF base, and manage to shoot down the dastardly alien spaceship, saving the day. And of course, being the heroes they were, nobody really questioned how they knew how to fly an aircraft. Once they've saved the day, of course, to celebrate, they go back to Richard's house and have a meal of chicken and chips. And I'm not kidding, that was my favourite meal as a kid, so that's what my heroes did to celebrate. And if you don't like it, tough. So I sat on the floor with that little typewriter, and unlike my dad's new electric counterpart, you really had to hammer out every single letter on that thing. No doubt many hours later a 2-page short story was completed, with lots of errors and grammatical mistakes and lines stricken through, but it was a full story. That was a most amusing tale, and I can see how your love of spaceships and adventure and aliens have continued in Christopher Tyson. What came next? Well, the main point is that I started writing. There were always lots of stories and adventures and ideas and characters bubbling over in the back of my mind, even though all too often they just took place with action figures and with Lego, but now and again I would write them down. But of all the things that story achieved, one would never be forgotten by my family, which was the immortal words of an alien language that meant something along the lines of, "I'm sorry, but I don't know what you're saying." And the words were Bagila Nifnuk. And from then on, those words would always give my mum a good chuckle. This term, Bagila Nifnuk. It sounds suspiciously like an alien language that I'm familiar with. I shall have to do some research. But that concludes our discussion for now. Farewell, humans, and remember, our futures lie in the heavens. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our discussion. If you would like to enjoy learning more about Christopher Tyson and his adventures, remember to like and subscribe for future updates.